Steve Galer, Fáilte to our first Agallamh Baill of 2022. So welcome everyone. I'm joined here by Chris Kenny in the hot seat today. Gur míle maith agat Chris for joining me. Conas an tóga?
Tommy go maith agus cead atá put féin.
Oh my god, raw gur míle maith. So Chris was ever so kind to agree to chat to me and tell us all about his story with gaeilge, where he began, who he is, and how he ended up with us at Bitesize. So I suppose, Chris, what I'll have to do first is give me a little bit food fain about yourself. Okay, who are you?
Okay, as gaeilge or no?
Half and half. Maybe begin as gaeilge and then.
Okay, well, it's Munster Chris. It's Aaron May as Baill le Chris. Rug agus tógan sin mé. So Chris, I'm Irish and from Dublin. I was born and raised there. Bhór mé go Sasana nuair a bhí mé ní mbliana déag. So I went to England when I was 19. Dús go London, so at first to London. A bhí mé an sin gá bhliain go lé, so 2.5 years or so. Agus hui mé Munster Irish, agus in a dhé sin tháinig mé arás go Sasana, go dúsgart Sasana. So came back again to the north of England. Agus Tommy an seo ó hin. A bheag agus go mór, Tommy. Yeah, so more or less I've been here permanently for the last 50 years or so. Emma, the sound's gone.
Apologies. Sorry. So the first thing is you moved at 19, and the first question there would be, why did you move? And the second question is, why did you move back? After the 2 years.
Yeah. Well, it was the mid '60s. It was, things were happening, and I thought I was just curious. And also there was the thoughts of employment, things like that, and a bit of adventure too. It wasn't all
sure. You were
looking for work. I came back because I just fancied it. I just thought I'll go home. I'll take a break from here. And then I moved back, and with family and stuff like that. But mainly because a friend that I'd made in London contacted me and said, I'm living in the north of England, in Leeds. Do you fancy, coming over or whatever? So I did, thinking it might be a visit or whatever, but I stayed and then brought the family over, and that was it, really. So
wow, fair play. Yeah, that's what happened to me. I planned on being in Germany for months, and I'm here 3 years. So
the days fly by, and what's the song say? It's a long way, and it gets further by the day, isn't it?
That's it. I agree with you. Yeah. So you went to England, and where then does the Irish language come into that? So you were 19 when you moved. Where did you start with gaeilge?
I mean, very recently. I didn't, in all that time, I didn't really think much about, the Irish language. About 3 years ago, I bought a copy of, just name now, Michael McConn, Coming Home. And it's a chap's story about his coming back, journeying around Ireland, and his return to the Irish language. So that was interesting, and I thought, and then I started to think about it. There was also the thing of, which was kind of catching up with me, where I worked, I was in an academic department. People were always saying to me, because I was Irish, James Joyce or Beckett or Flann O'Brien, and I thought, fair enough, I might have looked. I'm not a big literature reader, but I did know these people, and I had read bits and pieces of them. But they would also ask me, what does this Irish phrase mean? What does Éireann go bragh actually mean? Or what does Céad míle fáilte or fáilte rót or whatever mean? And I'd be blustering and chancing my arm or whatever. I thought, I'm just too embarrassed to say I haven't the faintest idea. Right? Okay. So that and reading the book, and I thought, oh yeah, I should really be able to string a few phrases together, But one thing that I'd always kind of missed about home or whatever were the voices, the sounds of on the streets of Dublin, or Dublin accents, of course, being from Dublin. But then over the years, any Irish voice, anybody with an Irish accent would do, to sort of satisfy that, that bit of nostalgia or whatever. So, people would turn up from Ireland in the department at chat, and you think, oh, you'd home in on them, to have a bit of a conversation or whatever. The Irish have no problem with conversation, as you know. They are a garrulous bunch, But so it was really, and then I thought, well, I can remember some of the sounds of Irish as well, The last teacher I had in Irish was from Cork, if I remember correctly. And I do remember his great Cork accent, and I did remember, a few phrases, Dún an Doras or whatever, close the door.
Yeah.
So that kind of triggered something. And then rummaging around, I found Duolingo.
Okay, as many people do. It's a great starting point. Yeah.
As many people do. I went on there. It was really on or off, Initias Irish was the and then the lockdown started. So I probably went on Duolingo a little bit more because it was something to do. But it became a bit like passing the time, but nothing was really happening, I was clicking on the answers, or I was, putting the few words together. And what really attracted me was, I think these days, the Connacht woman who, speaks the Irish phrases or sentences. And I thought, oh my God, that sounds great. I like that. This is so, but I wasn't getting anywhere. And then in April last year, so April 2021, I signed up for a course with gaeilge culture. That was Bunrang Ado. That's like the one up from the very lowest level. Now I think I should have really done Bunrang 1, but anyway, I did. I did that one, and then so I finished that. That was the summer term, and then in the autumn, I did Main Rangahen, the lower intermediate one. And at the moment, I'm on the Main Rangado, so the upper intermediate. I'm doing that at the moment. But between the autumn, the end of the autumn one, and the beginning of the spring one, this one was a long time, And I thought, I need something to, keep me going, so to speak, So I signed up for Bitesize, and that was the beginning of December, I think, 3 or 4 weeks before Christmas.
Yeah.
And I'm very glad that I did. That was yeah.
I'm glad you did too.
That's it, really.
You've been, brilliant story, because people start out in different. It's interesting. I like interviews because I like seeing where the start point for people is, and your one now, everyone has a different one, and everyone has different reasons, and I like that. I'm going to look into that book. You'll have to give me the name again at the end, so I can pop it in the description of this video as well for anyone interested. But so you start off with Duolingo, and then you sign Gaeilge Culture. Gaeilge Culture, great. I actually did the two Crinnis na Gaeilge
Okay.
courses myself, the higher level grammar ones. Challenging enough. I tell you, I could do both of them again,
Yeah,
and I definitely still learn everything more. And you know, there is something that
I know.
I'm constantly working on is my grammar. So yeah, and I think you're the perfect member here. You're the perfect candidate because we always say people who want to sign up for Grow. Yeah, you sign up as a Grow member. One of the questions are you an active learner? You know, and it depends what kind of an active learner can be many different things. Maybe you read the books in your own time. Maybe you're on, you know, in a course in real life or your online course, or you're, you know, maybe even in a college course or in school or whatever. So you're the perfect candidate for being an active learner. You're using Bitesize side by side then with a class, you know, because as you
That's
know,
right.
Bitesize is quite do it on your own. It's, you know, we prompt you and we help members and give them the opportunity, but it really is down to you. So how have you been finding that? You know, like you're attending your online courses and you have your structure there with the teacher, but then
Yes.
you're very diligent on Pubble and on Grow in general. And I suppose that's the Suam Haynes, so on your own, all on your own accord. How have you been finding that?
Well, the oh, the little tasks that you set, you know, you yourself set every day, really, is, I mean, that's brilliant because you've got something to do. You know, I don't have to sit there thinking, oh, should I, you know, let's say I've done what I need to do for Gaeilge Culture, for the class that I'm attending. And now I think, what should I do? Should I, you know, verbal nouns? No. Should I, but I don't have to think about that now. I've got, you know, I've got the tasks that you set. I've got another evening to attend, something with the Bitesize bio, you know, the live chat session. So I've now always got something to do. I've got something to do every day, and so it literally now is, you know, gaeilge agat law. You know, I do a bit every day, whereas before I didn't really. You know, it was, you know, I think because there's so much to think about, to do.
Sure.
How are you going to choose? You know, should I? Tishel Genedok. No, I can't face that. No,
Of course,
there
you're
are
going
just
to
too
choose.
many rules. There's just too much.
You're going to choose what you like, you know, and you're. I know myself from even trying to study more German myself, and I'm like, I hate that. I don't want to do that, you know, and I can very well do it, but I don't want to. Whereas
No,
when you're
exactly.
faced with something that's given to you, it's there for you and you don't have to think about it. And you might realize in the end, well, that actually wasn't as hard as I thought it was to be, or it wasn't
The
as
Dirac,
horrible.
exactly. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you know, one of the great things about the Bitesize is you know, what I realized, the little videos that you show and that, you know, and again, that was connected, going back to the old kind of nostalgia thing, you know, the voices, you know, the sounds or whatever. And although I'm not in any position to start thinking about, you know, accents or dialect or whatever, you know, I don't really think about that, and I must be honest, you know. But I have to say, you know, Connie and Namuna is where it's at, you know. It's
well, good that you're representing.
I'm not just saying that because you yourself, you know, definitely from the stuff I've watched and the stuff I've heard and so on. And I often think maybe I'm still remembering that old, you know, Cork teacher or whatever that I had.
I was about to say, maybe it's just that intrinsic love that you had way back when.
It's something, maybe. I have no idea. I have no idea. Or maybe it's just because I can't understand a word the others say.
Well, there you go. You started off with a Cork Irish teacher.
The Ulster gets me, you know, I have to be honest.
I'll have to get Neil so on next time now with you.
He was great. Yeah, I
Brilliant.
really liked. He was great. He was great crack altogether. You know, so
He's a great addition to the team. You know,
yeah,
myself and Owen, we have gaeilge and the Moen, and then Siobhan has a mix of Connacht and Munster, and
yes,
then we
yeah,
have
yeah,
Neil then in with Ulster. So he's
yeah,
been a really great addition to the team. I love
yeah.
our weekly meetings with him because I get to learn from him as well, even
Of
sitting
course,
and
yeah,
chatting.
yeah,
But it's exposure. I understand, you know, everyone talks about different canons or different dialects they find particularly difficult. Like Neil would find Munster Irish difficult to do. It's what you're used to. So you, I think, definitely your teacher way back with the Cork, if he was from Cork, which I'm pretty sure you're saying he is. Well, I think why your heart is in Gaeilge and
I think so. Yeah, he was definitely from Cork because the big games, you know.
yeah, there you
He'd
go.
be,
So he's
he'd
another
be,
Cork man talking about.
you
Yeah.
know, firing on all cylinders for Cork if they were playing at all, you know.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, well, definitely Cork. So I lived in Cork for 4 years, and yeah,
right,
GAA
okay.
was a big thing. Yeah, I studied in Cork, so yeah, I have a ground in Cork
You
myself
went
as
to
well.
university there, yeah.
I did, yeah, I
Yeah,
did. I lived there and studied in UCC there. So
right.
yeah, I understand the endearment of it all. I do. So look, yeah, so that's I'm happy to hear that you find that the gaeilge law motto that we have does work for you, and it's not just something that
Oh, it does, yeah.
we're saying to do, and that it's doable. And
It is. It is.
so
Well, be honest now. I'm retired, so I've got probably plenty of time that others might not have. But I don't spend all day doing Irish. You know,
sure,
I probably
yeah, you've
do.
other things.
I probably do a couple of hours a day. That would be it really.
Hmm.
But I wouldn't do that if it wasn't for the stuff that you put up there every day, and
Well,
yeah.
thank you.
So
Good.
that that that,
I'm
really,
glad
that
that
is
my
really
job.
that's a massive help. I mean, I can't emphasize how great a help that is. Yeah, because
Mhm.
you're learning any language on your own.
It's tough. It's
Oh, it's
tough.
tough. There's no doubt about it. If you've no one to talk to, or I suppose you have to talk to yourself. Then you have to.
Yeah, and that works for a while, but having that
No,
community this is what we want for Pobble. This is
that's right.
why, when Owen, me and Owen were talking about me even starting as the community manager, a big thing for him was explaining what Pobble was, and it took me a little while to understand, what I was actually in charge
Yeah,
of here, and
yeah,
um it's a great opportunity for those who are, working online. We're all online here on Bitesize. You
definitely.
have to make it
Yeah,
work.
yeah.
So
Just contact,
yeah.
and it's regular contact. Even
Mhm,
even if it is online, it's still contact, and I
mhm,
find that really helpful. And I suppose Pobble, the word does mean community, isn't it? Right?
mhm. Yeah.
Not just
So
public.
yeah, exactly. It shows what it says on the tin list. So yeah, like the thing is, as well, just with that, as we say, it's online, and obviously you have your weekly video call with Siobhan. But all the other times, maybe I have my monthly call, but we're not chatting in person every single day. But Chris, as I said before we even hit record, I feel like I know you, but this was the first time we've actually ever chatted.
It is,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
build up relationships with
You
the
do,
other
yeah,
members,
yeah,
and it becomes
absolutely,
quite familiar, and you feel
yeah,
comfortable making mistakes and asking questions within
yeah,
that as well. I think that's an important thing. People get going into any class or any community or anything online. It can be scary at the start, thinking, oh my God, what level are we all at? And oh my God, I'm not good enough for this, and you quickly realize that, everyone's on a different level, and everyone
that's
has different questions to ask, and
absolutely
there's
right.
no.
Yeah, yeah. And so level doesn't really seem to matter, because with the comments that appear in the chats, from different members, and that
Mhm.
when you're welcoming somebody, or you're responding to something they've said, or that, So you can do it in Irish and English, half and half, you know.
Yeah.
You know, if people in Connacht or probably all over the country now can say, you know, time all right, you know, well.
Time all right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine. So yeah, that's the nice thing about Pobble. There's a lot of just, you know, it's quite a relaxed environment to be in, and
it is a very relaxed environment. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
The Gael culture,
exactly.
of course, are demanding, you know, in a sense that, you know, during the, you know, there is a lot of conversation in the class, you know. So, and at the level, you know, I'm doing now, I would say that most of the people on there, and most of them are Irish. And, some of them, you know, they've done their leaving cert only a couple of years ago, you know. So their Irish is pretty good, you know. They may not know, you know, all the rules of the Tishel Genedach, of the genitive, you know, but they can talk in Irish, you know. And it doesn't seem to make any difference, you know. If they're shy about the grammar, they're not shy when it comes to, you know, speaking or whatever, and that's brilliant. So, and I have to be prepared to, you know, sound like an idiot or whatever. I mean, there's nothing you can do about that.
No.
And I think you need to get over that pretty quickly when you're learning a language. You know, you're going to have to make a fool of yourself, you know, and say things that are, you know,
be open, making mistakes and being correct.
Exactly.
But you know, everyone's in the same boat. You know, no one's there to, you know, I'm only there to correct you. If you don't want me to correct you, I won't. But you know,
that's another thing. I must say that the corrections are invaluable. I mean, they really are. That they're absolutely invaluable, and I think, you know, they come immediately. You know, within a few hours, within a day or whatever. You know, there's Emma's corrections, and you think, oh, that's just brilliant. So you do feel like you've got, you know, on Bitesize, you've got continuous contact, you know, that which is great. You know, you feel like you forget that all the technology is in between, you know.
I know, you feel like you're in the same country.
You might as well be the same. You know, we're not. I know, halfway around the world, and you're getting a response from somebody, and you think, so they might as well be in the next room, or, you know, or sitting across from you on the sofa or whatever, you know. And that's great. I really enjoy. I really like that. You know, yeah.
Good. I'm happy because, you know, that's an important part of it as well. You know, practice, but then getting your feedback, and you know, everyone's always open to having feedback as well, which makes my job easier. You know, I hate to correct someone that doesn't want to be corrected, but everyone wants it. So
I can't imagine someone not wanting to be corrected. You know, I mean,
you'd be surprised. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe someone just says, "Look, just let me practice until I feel comfortable." No, but I haven't experienced that yet. Anyway, so yeah. Anyway, so. Brilliant. I'm really happy to hear that now, and that's given me really good, you know, that makes my job. I feel good as well. You're giving me a little bit of an ego boost here, Chris. You know, to know that I'm doing my job well. But you know, the Pobble would be nothing without the members. So it'd be nothing without you.
No.
So right. So my last question, I suppose, for you now would be: we talked about, you know, that you're in your course. You've come back to Irish, and you know, and Duolingo gave you the stepping stone, but it didn't give you enough. You say you're retired now, so obviously you have time on your hands to put into learning. You know, depending whatever, you know, a couple of hours. It might only be an hour one day, whatever it might be. But I suppose for people watching this who might think, I had Irish in school, I haven't touched it for however many years. You know, maybe they think it's too late. You know, you said that you only came back to it three years ago.
That's right.
So
yeah.
Where's your give me some, well, give the listeners or the watchers here some advice to those who are thinking about coming to Irish or even starting from scratch.
Okay. So if you're, you know, I mean, if you're Irish and you're coming back to Irish, well, you're most likely not starting from scratch. And of course, depending on what age you are, well, you're going to remember so much of it, or, you know, so little of it. And if you do decide, I think just do it. You know, don't don't be thinking about it too much. There's not it'll take a little bit of time to get reacquainted with it, but start. That's it. Just start from wherever you are. If you're, as I say, if you're only out of your leaving cert, well, it's probably easier. If it's 30 or 40 years since you've done some, it's a little bit harder. Okay, but it gets easier, and I can see in myself, who I hadn't done Irish for 50 odd years. I mean, but it wasn't totally alien. It wasn't. The sounds were vaguely familiar, and especially as we speak a funny kind of English anyway. So the phrasings and all of that weren't alien. And the voices weren't alien. So that was an instant. That was a hurdle that you could get over instantly. There was familiarity there, and that helped. If you're not Irish or you are absolutely starting from scratch, then I would definitely recommend. I mean, Duolingo is available. It's free, but I would at some point think of a course. Obviously, I'm going to recommend Bitesize. I'm getting such value out of it. Why wouldn't I? But I would do a course, as well. And having done some Gael culture courses, I didn't do the absolute beginners one, but I imagine it's top quality as well, and it would soon, acquaint you with the basics and pronunciations and everyday phrases and stuff that you can use in, pretty basic conversation and all of that. So I would definitely recommend a course to just to keep you, doing something and to keep the motivation up. People say, one thing that I did find, and I heard people say, oh, listen to the radio, or Radio na Gaeltacht or TG Car or whatever. That will really help, Well, I tried that, and when you do switch it on, oh my year. I know there's a more colourful phrase that translates, but I thought it's just one long word. It's just one long sound. I might hear the word agat or something like that. I might catch the odd phrase if I'm very lucky. So don't be dispirited. Don't.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh my God, I've been on Duolingo 2 years. I cannot understand a word of this. What the hell is wrong with me? Well, there's nothing wrong with you. Okay. And I was chatting to my buddy in Dublin. We were talking about this, and when you're learning and you've got your text or whatever, or words on a screen or whatever, all the words are separated.
It's a good way to look at it. I like it. Yeah.
That's 4 words and they're separated from each other. And then you hear, just one sound, I mean, my favorite is, of course, when people pronounce Dublin, in Irish, all you hear is Blachlia, not even that maybe, if you're lucky, or, míle, and so all of that, all the words just run together. And I assume that's part and parcel of learning a foreign language, So it's why when you finish your degree in Spanish or whatever, and you go to Spain and you go into a shop and you can't understand them and they can't understand you, and you think, but I've just done 3 years of, what the hell's wrong with me? Nothing.
I've lived it. I know exactly.
You're familiar with this.
You train your ear.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you're training your ear as well as your speech, as well as your knowledge and all that. And don't get dispirited with any of them, because it is part and parcel. Now I'm just starting to, people that in Munster at least, people do actually use separate words. I'm
Surprisingly,
amazed, you know, they're starting to sound like separate words. The little video that you put on, oh, they were great, those about the organic gardening, you know, and your man in Connacht, you know. When I had the subtitles in Irish there in front of me, yes, I see what he's saying now. If I hadn't had the subtitles, sure, I could have been there all day, you know. And
I know, and
but the
that's what I
Munster
like about that site.
easy,
Yeah,
you know, yeah.
the subtitles help in general, but Mulshgale, for anyone watching now that's wondering, Mulshgale, I put up videos from them because they have subtitles in Irish, and I think that's a very important part. Because in English, sure, you're not even listening when you're trying to, but you're trying to then see it to match up the words. Whereas there's something invaluable with reading and hearing
Oh,
exactly what's
definitely,
being said,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's brilliant. So yeah, I that's the reason why I try to use those, because I find that you even if I get distracted and read the English just cause, you know, or the subtitles in English.
yeah.
So yeah,
No, that's a
I'm
great.
glad.
It really is a great help. It really is. And you know, again, you know, it finds something that attracts you about the language as another tip. You know, what is it that attracts you about the language? And I read a. Sorry, do we have time? You know,
All the time in the world.
I read a piece in one of the gaeilge Stroll volumes. You know, and I think it was the intermediate, lower. Ah, okay. Every home should have one. You know,
you know, it's the Bible there for me.
it is, isn't it? Anyway, it was a chap from, of all places, Alaska. And as a youngster of around 12 or so, for some peculiar reason, he got interested in Irish. And I think the first book he had, first grammar book, was actually gaeilge na hAlban. You know, it was Scottish Gaelic or whatever. But anyway, eventually he got into it, and he comes to Ireland. He ends up in I can't remember which, maybe, you know, UCD or Trinity. I can't remember. He's there for I think he got a grant from where he was in studying in America. But what he said was that he now prefers gaeilge to his native language, which is English. And the reason he prefers it is because he likes the way he puts together ideas in his head in Irish rather than in English. There's something about, and I thought, you know, yeah. And for me, I kind of instinctively knew that it's true that, you know, this sentence means this in English, you know, in the old translation problem. But at the same time, it doesn't really, you know, it's not really, you know. So I was looking at, I found by accident, I think it's a poem they do maybe on the art test, on the leaving cert, you know, Sean O'Riordan's Cool and Tea, you know. So, and the opening is something like, you know, there's, you know, Tá Tiernan Ogre, Cool and Tea, or something like that, you know. And you think, so that says in English, yeah, Tiernan Ogre is at the back of the house, you know, or there's, and you think, but it's not quite, it doesn't do what the Irish does, you know. And I thought, that's where I would like to sort of end up, you know. I'd like to not have the intermediary, if you like, of having to say in my head in English, oh, that means, you know, if it could actually, if I could just get the full impact straight away, you know.
That's an answer to the question I wanted to ask. Your goal, or where you want to end up with this?
Yeah, well,
you're chuckling really good and quickly, and you're doing everything so well. And I suppose where's your goal? And that's one of them, I presume. Then.
That's one of, definitely, yeah. That's where I would like to end up, to be able to put together, you know, for myself, you know, in my head or whatever, like the Alaskan man, you know, you know, things and ideas in Irish, you know, to see how are they different. Already I can see that they are different, you know, there's something different about it. And yes, of course, translation gives you the sense of what's there, you know, but yeah, the other thing I really would like to do is going back to the academic friends, you know, who asked me about Flann O'Brien or whatever. I really would like to read Baill booked the poor mouth in
I haven't
Irish.
read it yet myself. Yeah, it's on my list. I actually have it in German, would you believe? And I refuse
Oh my
to
God!
read it
Right? Okay.
until I have it in.
Yeah.
I want to read it in Irish first before I read it in German, because I think it'll ruin my. I'll all have the story, you know, in German, and I'll be. So I want to read it in Irish first. So I'm on that goal as well, Chris. I have that same goal.
Yeah, that's what I really, that would be, you know, if I could do that, you know, and I you know, with all the help in the world from, you know, Changlan or, you know, even Google Translate or whatever, you know, but you know, I would like to at least get through, you know, a few sentences without having to check anything. That would be my goal, you know.
Well, I think that's a very I think that's achievable. I don't see that as being anything too.
I think so. Yeah, I think, you know, yeah.
So. Brilliant. Well, Chris, I want to say good míle maith, and you know I really enjoyed this chat, and I hope you enjoyed it.
I have indeed. Yeah, absolute pleasure. Thank you. Yeah.
And so yeah, I hope the listeners, I'm sure the watchers and the listeners and everyone will enjoy your story as well. You're very interesting and you have a way with words. I really enjoyed this conversation. So
no. I'm yeah. I'm not even not interesting, okay?
All right, we'll leave the comments underneath this video aside that. Yeah, we'll leave the debate below. So I want to again for míle agat. For anyone that has questions, leave them in the comments below. Maybe Chris, you can come on and answer them if anyone has anything they want to quiz you on. But míle agat, and yeah, thank you for being my first victim of 2022, and hopefully I'll have more in the coming months. So slán go fóill.
Slán go fóill.